The obstacle you built this morning is insurance. You stayed up too late, or you started too small, or you saved the hardest thing for last, and a quiet part of you already knew the reason. Take a man named Daniel. He has the biggest presentation of his year tomorrow morning. He knows the material well, but the night before, he avoids rehearsal. He reorganizes his entire desktop and watches 3 hours of something he won't remember. He goes to bed at 2, exhausted, telling himself he works better under pressure. Then there is Theo, who has spent 8 weeks training for a half marathon. In the final 10 days before the race, the days that matter most, he suddenly gets busy. A vague ache appears. His schedule fills with mysterious priorities. He shows up to the starting line undertrained. This behavior follows a specific pattern. The self-handicap almost always appears at the threshold, the moment right before the thing gets real. It avoids the beginning, where effort is cheap. It waits for the edge, where the result is close enough to hurt. These obstacles provide a ready-made verdict. When the presentation falters or the race time is slow, the script is already written. I just didn't sleep, or life got in the way. This arrangement allows the mind to live inside the phrase, imagine what I could have done. By tying a weight to their own ankles, Daniel and Theo protect a fantasy of greatness from the reality of a real result. This dynamic was identified by Berglas and Edward Jones in 1978. They gave participants a set of problems. Some were solvable, others were impossible. Regardless of their actual performance, everyone was told they had succeeded. The researchers then offered every participant a choice before the next round, a pill that would enhance performance or one that would impair it. The people who could not explain their earlier success, the ones secretly terrified they had just gotten lucky, reached for the pill that would sabotage them.
This is self-handicapping. It is a strategy designed to externalize failure. If you fail with a handicap in place, the handicap takes the blame instead of your ability. If you somehow succeed in spite of it, you feel like a genius. Either way, you preserve your dignity. Martin Covington explained this through self-worth theory. He argued that in our culture, ability equates directly to worthiness. To be able is to be worthy. Laziness appears as a reversible choice. One can simply choose to try harder later. Incompetence, however, represents a permanent ceiling. It suggests that even your best effort was insufficient. The mind makes a calculated trade. It chooses the bearable pangs of guilt over the humiliation of falling short while trying your hardest. This is wired into the nervous system. When the moment of real effort approaches, the brain registers the possibility of judgment as a literal threat. The amygdala triggers an alarm, and the prefrontal cortex, the part of you responsible for planning, goes quiet under the stress. This state represents a biological hijack. The mind creates a small harm, like a wasted night, to prevent the larger harm of a public verdict on your ability. You take a small wound to dodge a bigger one. The long-term results are corrosive. A meta-analysis of 25,000 people found that chronic self-handicapping leads to lower performance, lower self-esteem, and less life satisfaction. The strategy used to protect worth actually erodes it. Each handicap makes the next one easier to reach for. You teach yourself that you are the kind of person who needs an excuse. Eventually, an identity is built out of these escapes. The alibi protects a ghost, a version of yourself who remains powerful only because he has never been tested. A man who is never tested can never grow. Ancient Stoic philosophy provides a different perspective on this pattern. It offers a framework that anchors value in the attempt rather than the outcome. Marcus Aurelius practiced a strict mental boundary. He focused entirely on what he could control, his effort and intention, while treating the outcome and the verdict of the room as secondary. Epictetus taught that distress stems from our judgment of events, more so than the events themselves. The failed attempt is just data. The idea that it proves you are not enough is a verdict you author yourself. Seneca observed that the catastrophes we fear are usually larger in our imagination than in reality. The real result is almost always survivable. The monster only exists in the space before the attempt. When worth is anchored to the quality of the honest attempt, the reason for the self-handicap evaporates. You no longer need an excuse for the outcome, because the outcome is no longer the measure of your value. Consider the weight of a life lived behind unopened doors. A man can spend decades protecting the fantasy of what he could do, only to wake up to the silence of an untested life.
He carried his potential to the end without ever finding out what it was worth. Take one thing you have been stalling on. Remove the excuse before you start. Get the sleep, clear the desk, kill the reason you were saving. Attempt it with full effort and nothing to blame. Stop protecting the ghost. The real you is the one willing to be seen trying and willing to be wrong. Tell me in the comments the one thing you have been handicapping. Naming the excuse is the first step toward moving past it. I will be reading.